Hey everyone, it is good to be with you today. We are starting our third day in Read Through the Word, January the 3rd, and we're talking about this storm that Noah experienced, that Noah sovereignly experienced. And I want us to focus on that word sovereign, sovereignty, and the idea of God being sovereign. This word sovereign is, you know what? Knowing the word and also believing in the word and the person of this word truly is the key for us to be able to successfully navigate the storms that come in our lives. Because if we can't trust God's sovereignty, we don't know what it is, and we can't trust it, we're never going to have a deep and abiding relationship with God. We're not. We're going to constantly be second guessing Him. We're going to constantly be, we're going to have guards up around our heart because we will not believe that He is trustworthy, especially when a storm comes. Seriously, why would a loving God allow storms in His sovereignty? Again, we're going to talk about that word. Because I know as a parent, I don't want my children to experience any hardships. I mean, I know they're going to. I know they should. But as a parent, I don't want them to. I want them to learn lessons the easy way by mom's mistakes. But sometimes they have to experience storms. However, I don't want to be the one to create the storm. But sometimes as a parent, I have to create the atmosphere that will develop the storm so that my children, 22 and 19 now, young adults, can learn. Does that make me a bad parent? Absolutely not. What that does is that makes me a parent that provides the opportunity for them to know that I, as a parent, am here. I am trustworthy. I am willing to be here and to help them ride out the storm. Now, do I intentionally set storms up? No, I don't want to do that. And I don't. But as a parent, I can see how storms can be rising. And I can decide whether I want to get in the middle of it and keep them from the storm, or I want to sovereignly kind of rule over that situation. And that's what God does with us in storms. We are going to face storms in this world. Floods, storms, however, whatever spiritual metaphor you want to make that. We're going to face them. Not because God causes them, although that's another lesson for another day. Sometimes He does divinely and sovereignly allow things to happen and causes things to happen to bring us to a place of discipline. Again, a story for another day, a part from another day, a lesson from another day. And then sometimes He sees them. Not sometimes, all the time He sees them. He knows they're coming. And He's going to just divinely sit back and be our safety net. Now, He divinely allowed the storm because of the depravity of creation at this point. And I can't imagine all that He went through to create and to bring humanity into existence. How it must have felt for them to be all depraved as they were. And to the world, in His view, He needed to destroy it and start over again. But that's what He thought. So He sovereignly created this storm. God is sovereign over the storms. whether he creates the atmosphere and the environment for them to happen, or whether he allows them to happen by natural circumstances. Sovereign means ruler. It means potentate. It's a person who has great power and who is a leader. And so God has great power. He is our leader. He is our ruler. So he is sovereign. He is trustworthy. Here's what we have to remember. Noah was faithful before the storm, so he could trust God through the storm. All right, I'm going to repeat that. And you might even want to pause and write this down. Noah was faithful before the storm. How do we know? Because he was the only one chosen. He and his family were the only one chosen to remain alive. So in order for him to be chosen and be called righteous, he had to be faithful to God. So we have to be faithful to God before the storm so we can see him through the storm as we're going through the storm and know that he's trustworthy in the storm. That's the bottom line. And here's the thing. When we are faithful before the storm, we can trust him in the storm, but we can also see him in the storm. Little by little, by little by little, did Moses see God. Noah, I'm sorry, not Moses, Noah. Through the little things he saw from the very beginning of him closing the door himself. Yes, God is sovereign over the storm. He is sovereign through the storm. He is trustworthy in the storm, and he is trustworthy, and we can see him there in the storm. But we have to be faithful before that. Why? If we're not faithful before the storms rise, before the flood waters meet capacity, if we're not faithful then, we're not going to see him in the storm. All we're going to be doing is complaining and trying to figure out the situation all on our own, rather than riding it out on the ark or riding it out on whatever means that he provided for our safety. Because this is what we know. He allows the storm. Through his sovereignty, he will allow a storm. He will also provide safety through the storm. It may not look like it to others, but he is with us. And when we're faithful before the storm, we will know and we will see him in the storm. You've seen people in the storm and you're wondering, how in the world are they smiling? How are they surviving this disaster that's come upon their family? This is how they survived that storm. They were faithful before the storm so they could see God in the storm. And then we can know that he's going to bring it. He's going to allow it. He's going to see us through it with safety and protection, but he's also going to bring it into it. Now, we don't know when our storms are going to end because we don't even know when they're going to come. One of my questions was, and I put this down, was, it sure would be nice to know when a storm was coming, wouldn't it? And then I thought, I'm not sure. Because if I knew the storm was coming, I would do everything in my power to prepare for it, and that's not going to get me anywhere. I don't know. It's just a question to think about today. But God is the sovereign keeper of every storm that you have faced, you are facing, and that you will face. And what he wants from you is to see your faithfulness before the storm. Because he wants you to recognize him in the storm as the sovereign one. We'll see you tomorrow on Read Through the Word.